Today we are unboxing and checking out the Easy Spare. This is the very first spare wheel and tire kit for the Fisker Ocean. Here's the box. You can see the website is easysparewheel.com. Let's check out the packing list here and see what's inside this. We have a little pamphlet here, and it gives a spare wheel installation guide, what's included with the purchase, safety, preparation, installation process, mounting, securing, and final checks, after installation and reminder. If you have any questions, they have an 800 number on the back that you can call for assistance. So let's unbox this and see what's inside. Pushing back the flaps, we have some bubble wrap, and we have the spare wheel and tire kit already in a storage bag. So let me remove this and see what it looks like. So we have a nice polyester bag, and on this side we have two zippers. Let's unzip it. We have another bubble wrapped bag here. Let's open this up. All right. We have a set of lug bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we also have a key. Since these are all locking, so that can be used when this is installed. Here's a good look of the inside of the wheel. Notice the interior is painted red, and we have a hub ring here so that it matches the Fisker Ocean's wheel area. And for the tire itself, I see it is a 175/70 R20, temporary use only. Brand name I haven't heard of, Ling Long. Inflate to 60 psi. Max speed is 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers per hour. Let's turn it over. Move the bag out of the way. And we have nice shiny glossy red finish on here with what I just mentioned, the 50 mile per hour and 80 kilometer per hour max. Overall, a pretty nice looking compact tire wheel combination. If you're interested, here is the tread area. Pretty normal for a spare tire. Let's see what it looks like compared to the Fisker Ocean's wheels. Let me roll the spare tire over, and it is in front of the existing installed 22-inch wheels. Of course, the tire on this is a 20-inch versus a 22-inch, so yes, it's a little bit shorter. The standard version of the wheel that comes with the car is a 20-inch wheel, so that's not a problem. The next thing I want to show you is a emergency tire change kit. This is a modification of the one that I did for the ultimate spare tire video for my Tesla Model 3. So let's open it up and check it out. One thing I recommend is bringing a small Allen wrench to remove the covers on the outside here. The center cover will come out. You can put your fingers around it and pull it out, but I find it a little bit easier if you use this, and there's a little hole right here that you can put this into. So not a bad thing to have in your kit. I have a old t-shirt This is the scissor jack that I showed in a previous video that I did about the jack points on the Fisker Ocean. This is custom designed for the jack point that is on all 4 sides of the battery pack, and this will come in handy. I also have a wrench for raising and lowering the scissor jack. Another thing you're going to need is a breaker bar for removing the lug bolts on the vehicle. Have a pair of gloves. And in addition, probably not a bad idea to have a tire repair kit in your vehicle. This includes all the things that you need to fix a wheel that has a puncture. For example, you can use the pliers to remove if it's a screw or a nail in the tire. You can pull that out. There are plugs that you can insert. So, nice kit to have. I have a link for all these items in the video description. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put the scissor jack by the rear jack point area. I'm going to raise the rear tire. One thing I think is a good idea, if you do have a puncture or flat tire on the rear, set the car to earth mode, so then it will be front wheel drive only so that the rear tire will not be driven. So let me get started with that. Before you lift a vehicle, it's always a good idea to put wheel chocks on the opposite direction of where you're lifting. So if you have a garage like I have that has a slope this way, going downhill, you want to put the chock so it's facing this way so that it will not move. Do this for both of the front tires. Here we have a close-up of the center cap on the wheel. As I mentioned before, there's a little hole that's right by the based in Los Angeles on the outer edge right here. So if I take a small Allen wrench, put that in there like that, and then pull on it, it pops right off. But if you had to, you could just use your fingers around the edge. It's a little bit harder to do it that way. The Allen wrench that I used with the Fisker Ocean's wheel cover, I found the best size is the 1/16 of an inch or 2 millimeters. Either of those should work fine. Inside we have the lug bolts. These are 17 millimeters. So I would suggest purchasing a deep socket. For example, this is the 17 millimeter deep socket with a 1/2 inch drive connector. So what you'll do now is you'll go to each one of these and loosen them up just a little bit so that when I raise the car up to take the wheel off, these are loose enough to remove the wheel. So let me go and do that right now. And you do this in a star pattern. All right, so all of these are loosened a little bit. So on to the next step. Here we have the scissor jack that I mentioned earlier with the jack point adapter on top. We are going to place this underneath so that it lines up with the jack point. And I'm just going to quickly raise this up with my hand. So it is in the opening, so I just keep raising it until it's tight. All right, so now I can use my wrench here. Make sure it's going in the right direction. All right, we got about half an inch to an inch between the floor and the tire. So we can remove the rest of the bolts. I'm not using any power tools because I'm trying to simulate what you would do if you were on the side of the road. So I'll speed this up. Just in case you haven't seen, this is what the lug bolt looks like. It's a two-piece conical fit with the black bolt. So there you go. For those curious to the length of it, it is 2.23 inches or 56.7, probably just round that to 57 millimeters. And if you just want to see the thread, the length of the thread from the end to here is 1.2 inches or 30.6 millimeters. At this point, all the bolts are removed, so we need to very carefully lift up the wheel off of the center hub. Make sure you don't touch the brake caliper or brake area in general. We want to do this as smooth as possible. So I'm going to try to support it best I can from underneath. All right. Let me move this out of the way. All right, now we see the bare area here. We have the center hub. We also have the brake rotor and the brake caliper. A little dirty, I need to wash that. Since I haven't done this before, let me get a close-up look of the brake area. See the lower control arms, the coil suspension, the damper arm, hydraulic brake line, all right, now for the spare. Let me put it into position. So you're going to align it so that the holes in the wheel match up with the holes on the hub. I'm going to lift it just like I did before. I'm going to lift it up and clear all of the brake components and put it on the center hub. I'm going to get the first lug bolt in. Not too tight because we want to make sure the alignment is good for all the others. And like I mentioned before, install these in a star pattern. Now go to all of the bolts and tighten them down. All right, we now have the lug bolts attached. I'll give you a close-up view. You can see there's plenty of clearance around all of the brake components here, since this is a 20-inch wheel. So everything is good with the spare tire. It is attached now. I can lower the car with the scissor jack. I need to put the wrench in the opposite direction now, and I will lower it. All right, so the car is supported by the spare tire. Remember, when you're driving, not to go above 50 miles per hour. I would also suggest using earth mode, since earth mode is front wheel drive only and will not drive the rear tires, rear wheels. That's probably also a good idea. Here we go for a close-up of the spare tire and wheel combo installed. One thing I want to mention is when you tighten these bolts, when you're on the side of the road, you're not going to have a torque wrench with you. So I would hand tighten these as tight as you can. If you do have a torque wrench, the correct settings would be 140 Newton meters or 103 foot-pounds. Now I'm going to show you how to do the same thing with the floor jack. I happen to have a 3-ton floor jack that I use in my garage for when I rotate tires. Same with the scissor jack. You're going to position this so that it is directly underneath the jack point. I'll get it close enough, and then I will slightly move it. All right, so it is in position. Thanks to my jack point adapters by L. Bakeland on eBay. He custom makes these jack point adapters for many vehicles, including the very first ones for the Fisker Ocean. I'll include those in the video description as well. So now I can lift up. All right, so the tire is off of the ground. I'll do the opposite now. I will loosen the lug bolts. Since I'm in my garage, I might as well use a power tool, make it a little faster. Lift up on the wheel, make sure it clears the brake components, and we will move it off to the side. And now the original 22-inch air glider is going to get put back on again. Obviously, this is much heavier than the spare, so I will kind of try to align this first and then move it close and then lift it up. Line up the holes, then get your first bolt started. And you just want to go just enough so that it grabs, so we can insert the other ones. At this point, we can lower the vehicle, slowly release the floor jack. And then lower it all the way down. By the way, this is what the jack point adapter looks like. Move that out of the way. You want to do your final torque while it's on the ground. So I have this set for 103 foot-pounds. All right, so we have torqued all of the lug bolts. When you're using the torque wrench, when it reaches the preset amount, in this case it was 103 foot-pounds, it'll make a clicking sound, and that's when you know it's hit the mark. All right, there we go. We have our regular 22-inch air glider wheel now attached. Don't forget to put your center cap back on. It will just go over the opening here. And then just push it into place. It will snap in. And it is now on. One final thing, don't be a noob and leave the wheel chocks in place. Make sure you remove those from both of the wheels and then put away all your stuff. One thing I forgot to do a comparison is with the original OEM lug bolts and the supplied lug bolts that came with the kit. But at least I can do a measurement. Let me check right now. We have 2.09 inches or 53.1 millimeters. And if we're just looking at the threaded area, the threaded area is 1.05 inches or 26.7 millimeters. Here's a closer look at the storage bag. The inside, 2 handles, 2 zippers, and a logo on the front with Easy Spare on it. And when you're ready to store the spare tire wheel combo, just open up the bag, roll the wheel over, place it inside, and then zip it up. And there we go. Let's open the cargo area. Let's check and see if the spare tire actually fits back here. All right, I have it lifted up and sliding it in. Yes, it does fit in the cargo area, which is definitely a good thing. If you need any extra space, you could remove the panel here and the styrofoam underneath and have additional space for this. If you have a lot of luggage, that will take up less room if you put this down below. So basically, that's what it looks like when you're storing the spare tire and wheel combo in the back of a Fisker Ocean. And that's about it for my unboxing and testing out of the Easy Spare by EasySpareWheel.com. If you're interested in this item, I have the link in the video description. You can use code RANGER for any discounts that are included on this purchase. Also, I think it's a good idea to have an emergency bag like this that you can put in your cargo area when you're on long trips and need to change the tire due to damage. So all the items that I used in this kit are also in the video description, as well as the scissor jack and the jack point adapters. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.